This video is about plot, theme, and text connections. What is plot? Can you label the plot diagram? Plot is the events that make up a story or the main part of a story. These events relate to each other in a pattern or sequence. Here's a look at the plot diagram. Were you able to label all parts of the plot diagram correctly? First, we have the exposition. The exposition is when we are introduced to characters, setting, and conflict. Next, we have the rising action. All of the events in the story that lead up to the most important event or the climax make up the rising action. The conflicts are all of the problems in the story. These could be internal or external. The climax is the most important or most exciting event in the story. The main character usually changes in some way. After the climax, we have the falling action. The falling action is when the plot and conflicts begin to wrap up. Finally, we have the resolution. The conflicts come to a reasonable conclusion. The SWBST strategy, or the somebody wanted but so then summarization strategy, works really well with the plot diagram. For the exposition, you find out the somebody, who is the main character. During the rising action, we find out what the main character wants, or what his or her goal is. With the conflicts, we find out the but. What is the problem in this story, or what is keeping the character from achieving his or her goal? At the climax, we have the so. What is the solution to the problem, or how does the character reach his or her goal? The falling action and the resolution make up the then. How does the main character solve the conflict, or achieve his or her goal? Let's look at an example. Willie Bentley wanted to take pictures of snowflakes, but his camera was not able to take pictures of the intricate details before the snowflakes would melt away. So his parents bought him a camera with a microscope attached. Then he took pictures of snowflakes and animals and the elements of nature. Finally, Willie Bentley died from pneumonia after walking 6 miles in a snowstorm to take more pictures of snowflakes. His town remembered him by creating a monument in his memory. Let's look at the story on the plot diagram using the SWBST summarization strategy. In the exposition, we find out the somebody, who the main character is. We know that's Willie Bentley. In the rising action, we find out what Willie Bentley wanted. What does he want, or what are his or his goals? He wanted to take pictures of snowflakes. But what was the problem in the story, or what is keeping the character from achieving his goal? His camera was not good enough to take great pictures of the snowflakes before they melted. So, what is the solution to the problem, or how does the character reach his goal? Well, his parents bought him a new camera. Then, what happens? How does the main character solve the conflict or achieve his goal? Well, the outcome of our story is that Willie Bentley died from spending too much time taking pictures in the snow, and the town created a monument in his memory. Theme. Theme's the big picture in the story. It's the message or lesson that the author wants you to take away from the story. It may be stated or implied. Theme should be written as a statement. It differs from a subject or topic because it involves a statement or opinion about the topic. There are many ways to express a theme. First, themes are expressed and emphasized by the way the author makes us feel. By sharing feelings of the main character, you also share the ideas that go through his or her mind. Second, themes are presented in thoughts and conversations. Authors put words in their characters' mouths only for good reasons. One of these is to develop a story's themes. Look for thoughts that are repeated throughout the story. Third, themes are suggested through the characters. The main character usually illustrates the most important theme of the story. A good way to get at this theme is to ask yourself the question, what does the main character learn in the course of the story? Fourth, the actions, events, and outcomes in the story are used to suggest theme. People naturally express ideas and feelings through their actions. One thing authors think about is what an action will say. In other words, how will the action express an idea or theme? Think of this scenario. A kindergartner asks you what you think about war. What would you tell him? Think of this scenario. A kindergartner asks you what you think about growing up. What would you tell her? Think of this scenario. A group of kindergartners ask you what you think about school. What would you tell them? War, growing up in school. These are topics. These are not themes. When you give a statement of opinion about a topic, it becomes a theme, which means all of the opinions you gave on the previous slides were possible themes. I know, your mind is totally blown. Text connections. Interpreting and analyzing works from a variety of genres for literary, historical, and/or cultural significance. Interpreting and analyzing works through a variety of critical lenses: text to self, text to world, text to text. Text to self connections. It's a connection between a book and your life or experience. So if you're reading a book on tree varieties and you have acorns in your backyard, you might be able to make a connection between the text and something that you already know. Text to world, a connection between a book and events in the real world. If you're reading that same book on tree varieties and you know that oak trees can be found in many regions across the United States, you're making a text to world connection. Text to text, a connection between a book and another book or text you have read. So if you're reading about spiders, and maybe you read a different book about arachnids as well, then you know that you read about this kind of spider in another book, and you're making a connection between two different texts. Let's review. What is plot? The series of events that occurs in a story. The main elements are exposition, rising action, which includes the conflict or conflicts, climax, falling action, and resolution. Plot can be summarized using the SWBST strategy. Somebody wanted, but so then. What is theme? The lesson being taught in the story. Theme has a moral lesson or opinion about the topic and/or subject of the story. What are the 4 ways an author can convey theme? Through feelings of the main character, through thoughts and dialogue of the characters, through the lesson the main character learns, through the actions and outcomes of the story. What are text connections? Interpreting and analyzing works from a variety of genres for literary, historical, and/or cultural significance. Text connections include text to self, text to world, or text to text connections. It's time for a quiz. Head back to class. Bring any questions that you have with you.